Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Are you basically starting your journey in commerce or business management? Well, today let us lay the foundation covering essential business concepts and business objectives. It can generally seem like a lot, but don't worry. In today's detailed video, we'll break down say lesson 1 and 2 from a typical BCom syllabus, covering everything from what a business is, its components like say industry and trade, and its evolving objectives as well as social responsibilities. Okay, let's basically build a strong foundation together. Okay, let's start right at the beginning. What is business? Now, at its core, it's a human activity focused on creating wealth, right? Whenever you think of business, what do you think the main idea behind business is? The focus is on creating wealth, right? Now, L.H. Haney, he defined it as an activity aiming to create wealth through purchase and sales of goods and services. Okay, now think of it as being busy producing or exchanging things people want or need to earn an income. Understand? Let me tell that again. Now, think of it as being busy producing or exchanging things people want or need to earn an income. We can define that as in business. Okay. Now, what makes a business activity? Yeah. What basically makes a business activity? Let's find that. Okay. Now, these are the key characteristics of business. First, it involves a sale or transfer for value. That is, making something just for yourself isn't business. You have to make something and you have to sell it to others. You just don't sell something to yourself and call it business. It is not business. Okay. Second, it deals in goods, that is say physical items, or services, which are actions. Okay. Third, it involves recurrence, which means regular buying and selling. Just one-off transaction cannot be called as business. If you just sell your old vehicle now, it is not called business. If you are continuously buying and selling old vehicles, then it becomes business. Only one-off transaction will not be considered as business. Okay. Fourth, profit motive. This is usually the central one. Okay, though we will basically see how this concept of profit has evolved. Okay, but profit motive is essentially the central for business. And finally, every business involves risk. Okay, the future is uncertain. Okay, so these are the key characteristics of business: sale or transfer for value, dealing in goods and services, regular buying and selling, that is recurrence of dealing, profit motive, and risk. Okay, right. Now, business activities are broadly divided. There are different divisions in business activities. First, we have industry. Let's try to understand first industry. Now, this is all about the production side. Okay, which is raising, producing, processing, or fabricating products. It is where the value is created. Understood? So industry is where a value is created. It's all about the production side. Okay, now industries, there can be different type of industries. Okay, now industries can be extractive. Extractive means getting resources from nature like mining or fishing. Okay, that is called extractive business, extractive industries. Then there is genetic industries. Genetic means breeding plants or animals. Okay, now example are like farming, poultry, sericulture. They will be the examples. This is genetic industry. Then there is manufacturing industry. Now manufacturing means transforming raw material into finished goods. Okay, is manufacturing. like creating cars, manufacturing cars, or making clothes. It all comes under manufacturing. Then construction industries. Now construction industries are generally building things like roads, bridges, or houses. It falls under construction industry. Then there is service industry. Now service industry basically provide intangible services like say banking, hotels, education. All these fall under service industry. Okay, let's again recap about the industries, types of industry. One is extractive industry, which does extraction. Genetic industry, breeding plants and animals. Manufacturing, converting raw materials into some product. Okay, construction, bridges, roads, houses, etc. Services, they provide intangible services like banking, hotels, educations, etc. Understood? Now this is production industry. This is the production engine. Okay, now once goods and services are produced, okay, by the industry, now how do they reach the consumer? How do they reach the consumer? Industry only manufactures them, manufactures or produces them. That's the second type of business, which is commerce. Okay, now commerce includes all activities that facilitate the exchange and distribution of goods and services. Okay, commerce, it facilitates exchange of goods and services. It bridges the gap between the producer and consumer. Okay, now in these industries they produce. Okay, now commerce basically it fills the gap between a producer and the consumer. Okay, now commerce has two main parts, which is trade. Now trade means the actual buying and selling of product or service, that is trade. And aids to trade. Aids to trade means they basically facilitate trade, they help the trade. Okay, they try to remove the obstacles. Okay, now these are aid to trade. Trade is actual buying and selling. Aids to trade is, they are the auxiliary. They basically remove the hindrances during this exchange, buy and sell. Now let's actually try to find out, okay, what are these hindrances, what are the obstacles. Okay, for example, how do goods get from a factory to your local store? From factory to your nearby kirana store or DMart, how do they get that product? Transport, right? So that is hindrance of place. It removes the hindrance of place. How do you pay? How do you pay? Yeah, apart from cash is one of the. How do you pay? Banking. Very good. Okay, that removes hindrance of finance. Now what if goods are damaged? What happens then? Insurance takes care of it. Hindrances of finance and exchange. Okay, what if goods are produced but not needed, but not needed now, needed later? Warehousing, that is hindrances of time. Okay, how do you know about the product? How do you get the information about the product? Advertisement, that basically removes hindrances of information. Now all these hindrances what you see, they basically are supporting aids to trade. Okay, trade is basically buying and selling. How to buy and sell? Aids to trade. These are by removing these hindrances. Okay, now all these are aids to trade. They are part of commerce. So commerce is divided into two components: trade, which are buying and selling, and aids to trade, which are activities facilitating trade. Okay, now these are the hindrances which are removed by those aids to trade. Understood? Now let's also focus on trade. Now trade means the core buying and selling. Okay, that is basically the core activity of trade is buying and selling. We also classify these trade based on say location. Now say home trade. home trade is within a country. Home trade means within a country. Okay, within a country we include wholesale trade and retail trade. Now wholesale trade is buying or selling in bulk, usually to retailers. Okay, that is wholesale trade. And retail trade means selling smaller quantity. We are retail traders. When we go to a kirana store or a D-Mart or somewhere, we buy something, we basically are retail traders. Very rarely we do wholesale shopping. Only for example, when a function is there in my home, or there is a marriage function or a party, only then we go and buy some wholesale trade. Otherwise we are only retail traders. Okay, so home trade is divided into two: wholesale trade and retail trade. And based on location, apart from home, there is foreign trade. Right, one is home trade, second is foreign trade. Now foreign trade is between countries, between different countries. Now between different countries, what are the different type? Number one is import, which is buying from other countries. We are importing goods or services. We buy goods from other countries. That is importing. Second is exporting. We sell our products to other countries. That is exporting. Okay, this is a part of foreign trade. Now the third one is Entrepot trade. Entrepot trade is I import from one country and the same product I export to other country, which is called Entrepot. That is importing to re-export. So these are the three type of foreign trades. Okay, let's recap again. The type of trade are generally two based on location. What are they? Home trade and foreign trade. Very good. Now home trade again divided into wholesale trade and retail trade. Very good. Fantastic. And foreign trade, which is international, are divided into three. Buying goods inside is called import. Selling goods outside of country is called export. Buying from other country and the same product selling to another country is called Entrepot, re-export. Fantastic. Okay, now it's basically very crucial to see how all these connects. Now industry, they produce good and service. Okay, now commerce, they facilitate distribution and exchange, using different aids of trades. How we understood the hindrances, how we basically solve the obstacles, that is aid to trade. Okay, and trade is the final exchange step. That is where we basically buy and sell. And all these three are completely interdependent. Okay, they are completely interdependent. Industry needs commerce or trade for distribution. Commerce or trade need industry for supply. So everything is interdependence. Only one cannot exist. Okay, all three has to exist. And all work towards satisfying human wants. Understood? So far all is clear? Good. Now we understood now what business is. But why does it exist? Okay, why does it exist? What are its goals and objectives? We have to understand that as well. Now that is where business objectives come. Okay, why business exists and what are the goals of business? That is what we will discuss in business objectives. Okay, now the traditional view, that is the old concept. Okay, traditional view is also called as old concept. They focused almost exclusively on profit maximization. Okay, the old view, the traditional view is basically profit. Profit was seen the sole aim. The main objective of business was profit. That was the only aim. That was the traditional view. Okay. Now, however, the modern view, the contemporary or the modern view, okay, has been evolved. While profit is still, essential for survival and growth, but it is often seen differently. Okay, now Peter Drucker is very good, famous management professional. Peter Drucker, he famously said that the purpose of business is to create a customer. So the modern view emphasizes profit through service. Okay, now business aim to satisfy customers, employees and society, and then profit is seen as the result and reward for doing that well. So today the main aim of business is to satisfy customer, employees and society, and then if we are doing this well, profit is seen as the result of all these things. That is today's definition, today's view about business. Initially the old view was only making profit. You are not worried about other stuffs, the society, the employees, the customers. That was not the main concern. The concern was profit. But the contemporary, the modern view is we aim to satisfy customers, employees and societies. Okay, and profit is seen as the result of doing this in a good way. So it's about wealth maximization for all stakeholders, not just the owners. That is the modern view. Okay, in the old view, in the traditional view, only owners wealth maximization was provided. Okay, but in the contemporary view, okay, wealth maximization is for all stakeholders. Okay, all stakeholders. Okay, so modern businesses, they basically pursue multiple objectives. Okay, they pursue multiple objectives, often categorized based on the business environment. Okay, their aims, their objectives, the business objective is basically categorized based on the business environment. Okay, that is how it is done. Okay, so business environment means what environment? The economic, the social, the political, human, national, all these objectives, all these environments. Based on these environments, the business objective is derived. Okay, so today's business objective is not only just wealth for owner, it's also wealth for all stakeholders. And how do they define the objective? Based on the business environment. Okay, the economic environment, social environment, the political environment, etc. Okay, now let's understand the economic objective. Okay, there will be two objectives of business. One is economic objective and another is social objective, which is also called responsibility. Let's actually take the economic objective first. Now, economic objective are the fundamental. Beside earning sufficient profits to cover different risks as well as enable growth, the key goals include creating new customers, okay, by identifying and meeting their needs. Okay, apart from profit, apart from essential profit making for essential for growth, essential for survival. Okay, the next goal is also creation of new customers, which is done through identifying and satisfying needs of new customers. Okay, also they will also, one of the major economic goal is also innovation, continuous innovation. If you look at today's businesses, on a regular basis they have to innovate new products. Look at any business, if they are not doing innovation, they are gone. They have to do innovation. Now this is about the business environment. Okay, if you are sticking to the same product for more than say 10 years, 20 years, you're gone. You have to innovate, you have to create new ideas. Okay, you have to create new ideas, new goods, new methods, new technologies. Okay, so innovation is also one of the main economic goal, which is developing better products, better services or better processes to stay competitive in the industry. Okay, that is economic goal. Now let's understand the social objective. The businesses are also a part of society and have obligations. Now this means, excuse me, now this means, acting ethically They also have to consider the welfare of the community. They have to contribute positively. Okay, all of these basically are social objectives and social responsibilities. Now let's try to understand what are the social responsibilities of a business. There are different social responsibilities. There are different stakeholders of a business. Okay, so let's try to understand the social responsibility towards different stakeholders of a business. Now, towards customers. What is the business's responsibility towards customers? Providing quality goods, quality services, fair price, honest advertising, avoiding malpractices. This is towards customers. Customers is also a stakeholder in a business. Okay, so these are also the obligations of the business. These are also one of the objectives of business, social objective. Okay, next, towards employees. Towards employees, what are the objectives? What are the obligations? Need to give fair wages, good working conditions. Very good. Okay, then welfare of the employees, training of the employees, giving respect to employees. Okay, there should be good employer-employee relationship. Salaries should be paid timely. Now, all these are obligations, business obligations towards employees or workers. Understood? Right. Now let's see towards owners. Now you understood business is a different entity than the owner. You understood this in accountancy? Right. So towards owner, even the business has a different obligation. What are the obligations? Very good, or fair returns on the investment, regular dividends, transparency. Towards owners, the business has to be very transparent, and also the owners, the business has to protect their wealth. Whose wealth? The business owner's wealth are to be protected. That is the business's obligation to the stakeholder. Who is the stakeholder? Owner. So towards owners, what are the obligations? Regular dividends, accurate reporting, transparency, protecting their wealth. Very good. Now towards society. Now this is a big one. Business, every business has got an obligation, responsibilities towards society as well. What are those? Efficient production. That is efficient resource use. Now they need to contribute to economic well-being as well. Okay, they have to contribute to the economic well-being as well. Okay, they need to control say pollution. They have to support community initiatives. Okay, they have to run on different campaigns like anti-pollution measures or the environment protection. Everything are the obligations of the business, that is towards the society. Now next, towards government. Now what are these obligations towards government? Paying taxes, observing laws, supporting national policies. Right? These are the obligations toward government. Regular payment of taxes, observe laws very strictly, and support national policies. Now towards weaker section. Again, towards weaker section also the business has an obligation. What is the obligation? Providing opportunities to the weaker section. Help development, give training to the, provide equal opportunities and give also training to the weaker sections. Okay, that is also an obligation of the business. Now, it is basically about balancing the interest of all these stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Customers, employees, owners, society, government, and then weaker section. So the business objective basically is about balancing the interests of all these stakeholders. So they have to manage, they have to balance all these obligations as well. They cannot make anyone, not happy and the other one more happy. No, they have to balance it properly. That is all the business obligation. Okay. Now, beyond this economic and social, we also have other objectives. Okay. What we have seen so far is the economic objective and the societal objective. Now, beyond this economic and social, there are other objectives as well, which is human objective. Now, what is human objective? It basically focuses on the people within the business, the people who are involved in the business, their development, their job satisfaction, their participation in decision making. Everything is also an objective, human objective. Okay, that is one objective. Then apart from human objective, we have national objective. National objective is aligning with the country's goals. Like, we need to promote export, developing skills, supporting small industries. This also an business obligation or an business objective. Okay, economic objective, society objective, then we have human objective and national objective. Understood? Okay. Now, achieving these diverse objectives require careful management. It cannot be done just like that. It requires very careful management, and success on this will basically depend on the key determinants like, clearly defining objectives, proper planning need to be there. They need to secure adequate finance. Then we have to choose a right location, and then investing in R&D. All these has to be done. Only then success can be achieved. Okay. And now, what about the person running the business? Now we already talked about business concepts, business objectives. Now what about the person running the business? What qualities should a successful businessman need? Any idea? Fantastic. Fantastic. Keep going. Okay. Now, beyond technical skills, they need vision. They need ambition. Okay. They need ethical grounding. They need to have foresightedness. Okay. Then they need to be able to take calculated risk. Okay. They need to have that ability to take calculated risk. Okay. They need to actually have sound decision making abilities. They need to have integrity and strong leadership qualities. Understood? Now look at the essential traits for a successful businessman. Vision and ambition, ethical conduct, foresightedness, risk taking as well as initiative taking, decision making, sound personal qualities like integrity, self-confidence, common sense, leadership, etc. Okay. Now these are the essential traits for a businessman. Okay. That was a detailed look at the fundamental concepts and objectives of business. Okay. So today we have journeyed from defining business, its components, which are like say industry, commerce and trade. We also tried to understand the evolution of business, the evolution of its objectives. Okay. Then the critical importance of social responsibility and the factors contributing to success. Right. Now, the foundation is vital for understanding everything else in the business studies. Okay, if you didn't understand this chapter or this topic, see it again. If you are not understanding, watch it twice or thrice, because understanding the business studies completely depends on your understanding on these concepts. Okay. Now, did this detailed explanation help clarify fundamental concepts and objectives of say business for you? If so, please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, subscribe for more comprehensive guides on business topics, and if you have any questions on these concepts or objectives, just drop them in the comments. Okay, thank you for watching. Happy learning.